Здравствуйте, дорогие друзья! Добро пожаловать на нашу встречу с Досточтимой Кадинг, которая удивительный человек. Для меня просто восхитительный человек. И я очень хотела давно вас с ней познакомить. И я благодарю Досточтимую Кадинг, что она согласилась сегодня присутствовать с нами здесь. Я бы сказала только про нее несколько слов, что она участвовала в строительстве ретритного центра Алмазной горы, что она монахиня, полностью посвященная, и также, что она закончила 3-летний ретрит. 3 года, 3 месяца и 3 дня. 1000 дней. И вообще она ведет кучу проектов и огромное количество делает всяких добрых дел. И поэтому я не знаю всего, что она делает. И когда она рассказывает что-нибудь, я всегда слушаю ее с открытым ртом. Поэтому я буду рада поделиться с вами этой удивительной возможностью послушать ее рассказ. Я буду говорить на английском. Вы, пожалуйста, перейдите на русский канал. У вас есть внизу, если вы с компьютера, полосочка, и там глобус найдите и перейдите на русский канал. Если вы хотите слушать английский, то переходите на английский канал с основного звука. У нас будет английский и русский. Ринчен, напиши, пожалуйста, в чате, как найти глобус и как переключиться на перевод. И отслеживай чат, если люди сейчас потеряются с переводом. Okay. So, welcome, dear Karila.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining, and thank you for agreeing to tell us about you. And what I know that now, if I'm not mistaken, that you are teaching ACI 1, or
Correct.
you finished already?
Still teaching.
Still teaching.
I had a delay.
That's, oh, wow.
Ooh.
What did happen?
I cut a tendon on my finger. And so this has to stay completely still until the middle of January.
Oh. Okay. Were you cutting something, I don't know, building a new temple or something?
Well, it's a funny story. A volunteer was here ironing on my glass top desk and broke the glass with the iron, the hot iron. So I was replacing the glass and cut the tendon on my finger.
Oh my God.
So it takes longer to heal than bones. So many things have come to a stop. I'll take a little rest for a while.
It's not so bad.
Only do 10 things instead of 20.
Wow. Okay. So could you tell us, maybe we can start with that point, about your 10 things you're doing?
Well, I live and work at Diamond Mountain. which is a dream for me that's so happy to live. I'm a founder at Diamond Mountain and helped start the place, built a home that I can live in here forever. And I host people who come here. So I'll hope to host you sometime. And I take care of all the rituals at Diamond Mountain, the ceremonies. I teach Dharma classes to the volunteers. And I'm also within 10 feet of Geshe Michael, you know, and that's very dangerous because then you get a lot of projects assigned to you. So I'm involved with habitat restoration for the animals here at Diamond Mountain. And we're replanting trees and bushes and flowers that were cut down 150 years ago. And we're having to do a lot of earthworks to slow the water down as the rain comes down the mountain, so it will stay and water the seeds that we've planted. Hundreds of thousands of seeds we have planted.
Mental, I guess, also.
What's that?
Also mental.
Exactly. He's using the trees as an example these days. I don't know if you've noticed that maybe enlightened beings can talk to us through the trees. So we're planting a lot more of those here. And in Bowie, we inherited some property from our dear Anipalma. And we're working with the school there to plant a high-yield food forest to provide food for the community who is very, very poor. 28% poverty rate there. And it's 25 miles to the grocery store one way with no public transportation. So we're going to try to create a beautiful food source for the community in the town with a community center that we're building from her building, where people can come and work in the garden or have a dance or enjoy food together. But the focus will be growing food. So that's a very exciting project. And my newest project is helping the local original people, the Apache, preserve their culture. And we have relationships with 2 of the Apache tribes in the area. The San Carlos Apache and the Mescalero Apache. And Geshe Michael started a nonprofit for them so we can start to raise money to build new teepees, get a new truck to move the teepee to ceremonies, and, you know, position themselves to take care of their immediate livelihood needs. You know, they need to pay the mortgage on their mobile home, their trailer, or get new windows, or fix their truck. They're very much in need. So we hope to support them so that they're available to preserve their spiritual tradition, which is very deep. And it's in conjunction, it's in alignment, I should say, with the earthworks that we're doing, helping the land regrow. It's just right in alignment with that, because their tradition is all about praying for the earth spirits and praying for the animals and praying for the stars. They pray for everything that they see in this world. It's beautiful. So those are my three main projects at the moment. I have others in the background waiting to come into being.
That's amazing. And I would say to our audience that Bowie is a small town or village, the closest to Diamond Mountain. How many? Maybe 20 minutes away from Diamond Mountain by car.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very poor part of this land. And that's amazing, because Ani Pelma, it was one of the nuns of Geshe Lasanga, who was living just in this village, and she helped a lot to poor people. She passed away, but I guess it's the best thing to do with her house to make its community center. And I'm sure that she's happy looking from the sky to us.
We're naming it Annie's Garden.
Oh.
The town knew her as Annie, which is the Tibetan word for nun. But
Annie, like sister, yeah? Sister Pelma.
Mm-hmm. But they don't know that part. They just think she's Annie.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
Yeah, they think that it's a name. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
we miss
great.
her.
Yeah.
And it's an honor to get this project going. We inherited her house as well as the half-acre property on the main road. And one of the young boys who used to work for her rents the house. He has 2 babies now. And Geshe Michael saw him at Annie Pelma's funeral, if you know what I mean. And he said, hire that boy. He was only 17. He will be a community leader. So we hired him, and I think she's happy we're taking care of him as well. He's 19 now, and he has 2 babies, and he's living in Bowie in her home, and he works for Sky Harvest. He's very bright, talented, charming young boy who grew up in Bowie. And it's wonderful to serve him. We are supporting him to finish high school. He'll be done in he'll be done in spring. So we'll see if we can get him on into college.
Yeah, so you support not only all the Bowie, but also people, just yes, special people. That's amazing. But how did it start? Could you tell us, please, how did you come to Geshe Michael? Or I don't know, I guess it was 100 years ago. Could you tell us, please, how you met him and how you started your spiritual path?
Well, I wasn't looking for a teacher. And I did not even know what a teacher was, a Buddhist was. And so it's all my seeds from the last guy. I have lived this life as an adult in service. And I've had my own companies from my 20s until my 40s, serving populations in need around the world. And I grew up in Africa, in several countries there, and have always been attracted to other cultures, different from my American culture. And it's so easy to find ways to serve. I've been very attracted to serving, but I didn't know. I think I would say I've always been very successful in my businesses. I didn't know why. It's because I've been helping other people. And I didn't know what I'm supposed to do with that. So I think I burned off a lot of my good seeds living the good life, you know. And I had children. Let's see here. When I was 35, and I wanted to move into the country. I did not want to raise them in the city. So I looked around and I found a long dirt road outside of Tucson, Arizona. I brought my children to Arizona so they could be close to their grandma. And come to find out, there's these people doing things down the dirt road in the middle of nowhere where I was. And they were in yak fur yurts, you know, and they were doing a 3-year meditation. And what's that? What's that all about? So my girlfriend down the road, who, by the way, was Nancy Yates, if you know her, John and Nancy Yates, she calls one day and she says, oh yeah, they're doing they're doing a 3-year retreat. And this guy wrote some books. And one's called The Diamond Cutter. I said, oh, I'm going on a business trip to South Africa, to the diamond mines. This sounds like a good book for the plane. So I bought all the books on Amazon by that author. And before the plane trip, I lost all the books. So I went to a couple bookstores on the way to the airport. Couldn't find any. Get on the plane with no book for a long trip, you know, halfway around the world. I go to sleep and I wake up before we get to Los Angeles. And one of the books is on the lap of the woman sitting next to me on the plane. And it was upside down. So it was Geshe Michael's picture on the back, like the Harry Potter pictures, you know, like he was laughing at me from the picture on the book. So I knew in that moment my life was going to change. That, you know, that this book could appear on the seat next to me on this airplane was beyond my imagination, that such magic could happen. So he was just down the dirt road where I was living in the middle of nowhere. So I always felt as we hear the story is told, that he came to get me and went, hey, you, get to work. You're enjoying life too much. You know, I had 100 acres of land and 3 horses and a mule and dogs and 9 dogs and 2 children. It was lovely. But hey, you got to get to work. You have to help all beings more. So that's what happened. He came and got me.
That's an amazing story. I've never heard it before.
It amuses me to this day. Anyway, here I am. So I met him after his 3-year retreat. Of course, I went to the teachings. Those are more stories. But he asked me to come help him build Diamond Mountain. And I said, of course. So I gave my business away. He said, give it away like Ben Franklin, better seeds. And if you try to sell it. So I said, okay. And moved here in the back of the pickup truck. There was nothing here. So another homesteading project. Very fun.
Amazing. And you moved to Diamond Mountain and you were building Diamond Mountain by your hands in dirt. And you built the temple at Diamond Mountain, as far as I know.
We built the showers first. And the bathrooms. And then we actually built my house into the temple for the first year. There, let's see here, David and Sumati and Sarani Stump, they were the other founders who came and built a house. And I hosted the college for a year at my house. And then we built the temple. So that took a while. But Geshe Michael asked me to come build him a mud yurt, an adobe yurt on the highest mountain. So I learned the secret of working with a teacher. All you have to do is say, okay. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Okay. So I said, okay. And I bought a big machine, you know, a big earth excavator to build a big adobe dome, monolithic adobe dome, my passion. I didn't know they were my passion till he asked.
Это глиняный дом.
Huh? Oh,
I'm translating the word adobe.
okay.
So as I can describe, correct me please. It's a building made from mud and glue and weed, actually. Yeah.
I developed a new I developed a new thing to add to the mud, different from weeds. And I was keeping paper out of the landfill and adding the paper to the mud. And Geshe Michael made sure everything I did was legal. So all of my ideas had to go through the legal system. I had to change a few laws to make them that way.
That's the funny thing. You changed the few laws. Wow.
Well, like the composting toilet, it took me 5 years to get a perfectly simple, logical, powerful way to take care of our poo-poo. You know, everybody does it. So let's manage it in a way that helps the earth. Anyway, that idea took 5 years, but he funded and supported everything I did. So we got things engineered, tested, quantified, so that the legal system, the building code, they would say, oh, okay. You know, no problem, you can do this. So everything I did also, by the way, is, I want to say, on the cheap, is low cost, because I want to see humans as a species learn how to live on this planet in a way that doesn't take advantage of the resources, waste the resources, make pollution. You know, we're so heavy on our use of the beauty of this world. We're hurting it. So everything I like to do is in synchrony with the Earth systems. So the Earth dome is beautiful. It's the perfect house. The composting toilet is the perfect toilet. I add rainwater harvesting, and we're not pumping groundwater anymore. And people in the desert can even have water. So that's another part of Annie's garden. It's going to be focused on rainwater harvesting. Again, Geshe Michael said, you can't make enemies with the neighbors. And we have a lot of commercial agriculture coming into Cochise County, where we are. And they put their wells way down, 2,500 feet to the bottom of the aquifer. Do you need to explain that word? The water table, the aquifer?
I would say that I don't know what you mean, but probably it's a water underground, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then all the other people, their little wells are like 100 feet down, 200 feet down. And they are having to move away because the water table is going down so fast. And they can't afford to put their well down 10 times deeper. So rainwater harvesting is important right now in our world. Anyway, back to the dome story that makes it so funny.
Yes, please. Let me please explain a little bit about this water thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I came to Diamond Mountain, it was kind of, Michael Dunn was a director, and he described as that water thing. Если можно, я пойду на русский канал. И слышно меня на русском канале? Я расскажу чуть-чуть про эту воду. Это как бы озеро под землей. И мы оттуда качаем воду, когда мы делаем скважину. Это глубокая-глубокая скважина до этого озера. И когда мы делаем очень глубокую скважину, то мы эту воду используем. И люди, у которых скважины менее глубокие, они не получают воду, потому что уровень воды уменьшается. И это запас воды на планете, который мы тратим. Поэтому вода быстро кончится. И у людей не хватит, и у ближайших городов не хватит, потому что города используют эту воду. Поэтому то, что делает Досточтимая Кадинг, это их проект использует дождевую воду, потому что дождевая вода есть, но она с гор быстро течет вниз, она быстро испаряется, она быстро... Очень сухой воздух, все это быстро уходит в воздух. И поэтому эта вода не используется растениями. И очень важно в пустыне использовать эту дождевую воду, ее поймать, задержать и использовать для полива растений. И проблема в горах, в пустынных горах в том, что та вода, небольшое количество воды, которое есть во время дождя, сезона дождей, она быстро уходит и ничего не поливает толком. Поэтому это очень важно, то, что делает досточтимая Кадинг в экологическом смысле. Okay?
And in the town, we're going to put gutters on all the buildings, on the rooftop. So when the water comes off the roof, it goes into the gutter and then goes down into storage tank. So you can use the water for the humans as well.
That's great.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Okay, so the dome, building the dome on the tallest mountain.
That's amazing story. I've heard the pieces about horses or mules who were going up on it's a big, huge mountain. And on the top of this mountain, there is a dome. Дом это как бы храм, маленький храм, наверное.
So I brought the big machine. He said, no roads allowed up the mountain. So, the correct response is, okay. So how are we going to get everything up there? So the first thing I wanted to build was a cistern to catch water on the top of the mountain because we need water. So my friend Anatole says, oh, we should use body bags. The bags you put a dead body in? And we'll hang them over our shoulder and we'll get all our friends to go up the hill carrying things, the cement and the sand and the water we need. Well, that didn't work. And then he said, let's do a helicopter. We can carry it up. That was very expensive. So then we tried the horse and mule. That was so fun. So I would put 200 pounds on each one, and we would carry it up with the horse and mule to the top. Well, that didn't work either. Way too slow. While I am way too fast. Sorry. So then we decided to dig the hole with jackhammer. And we were concerned with the violence of digging the deep hole up there for the material to make the walls of the dome. So you'll see the dome is set into the earth because we dug the hole to use the dirt to build the walls. And it took 5 years and hundreds of people. So I always enjoy thinking how if you take the road away, everything looks different. And he turned a 6-month girl builds dome story with a machine into a 5-year epic story that hundreds of people can tell. It's beautiful. Anyway, I love life on dirt roads. It's very, it changes everything living on a dirt road. Definitely builds relationship with earth systems.
And I was there. It's wonderful, like, I don't know how to say it. It's like a stupa. It's for me, it looks like a stupa. And it's beautiful inside.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
And we didn't buy anything at the hardware store. I like to make things. I like my friends to make things, I think it's important for the future health of our planet that we get off the money wheel every opportunity we can think of Because if you think about it and analyze it, who we give our money to empowers them to behave in less sensitive ways than you might behave, in ways that you think might be kind to the earth and the beings who live around you. So you'll notice all the hardware on that dome was handmade. The door hinges, handmade by Sam. Sam made them. And the windows are made by Luke, you know, to keep the economy local. Number one, benefits the, you know, your friends. And it also reduces carbon emissions because that hinge wasn't made halfway around the world and put on a boat, put on a train, put on a truck, goes to the hardware store, you know, and payroll expenses for all the people in the hardware store to then bring that to my project. So I really like to encourage people to think about who they give their money to and to recognize this idea of a money wheel needs more personal attention and involvement. We need to keep our resources and use the resources that are right here, close to me. So my retreat cottage, by the way, had a white marble foundation.
Oh.
Right? That sounds fancy, but that was the local material. Oh, sorry, I have to have a white marble foundation. So anyway, thinking differently. We need to think differently right now. Our world needs our attention and our heart most of all.
I've heard, so I was in your in your yurt where you did your 3-year retreat. It was weird for me first, and it was so sweet, just amazingly sweet. And instead of windows, there were bottles inside the walls. Something just unbelievable for me. Бутылки вместо окон, yeah? Yeah, it was great, but it was a yurt made of dirt. Did you do your 3-year retreat there inside of this building?
I think you know more about me now. And what drove my design of my retreat house was thinking of very poor people around the world who needed shelter. So again, I did not buy things at the hardware store. I made my retreat house out of things that other people were throwing away. And my retreat house cost less, including the solar panels and the rainwater catchment and the composting toilet. It costs less than the permit to build it. So it proved to me that this is a home that's available to the very poorest of people on the planet. And every morning I woke up in there and I felt like a kid in a fort I had made. You know, it's like, it was so cool. And I intentionally did not bring anything in there that would remind me of my culture or the outside world, like light switch plate covers. You know, normal, because the point of retreat is to get away into a new reality, you know. So nothing in there reminded me of out here. And the joy, it was fun too. Women and children loved helping me work on it. I made 6 domes here at Diamond Mountain. And they were not attractive. It was interesting to the normal building culture, because there were no power tools and no 90-degree angles. And I don't know why. I don't know why it wasn't attractive. We had so much fun, you know, people drumming and singing, lots of food, kids playing in the mud, you know, sticking little pieces of tile that we got out of the garbage into the walls. I don't know. It's a community-based style of building, and it feels magical. So I really hope to get this structure into the Native American population at the reservation. They are the ones who inspired me, by the way, to get this method legal. It's legal with the International Building Code. And yeah, because it's quality housing. Aesthetically, I think beautiful. But to my culture, it's not beautiful. So it has not been maintained here at Diamond Mountain. It doesn't fit in. So I think the Native Americans will love it. It's a roundhouse, more like their hogans, you know, and their teepees. They like roundhouses.
How could you raise up your children there at Diamond Mountain in the middle of nowhere? You had 2 boys, as far as I know, and they were pretty young. How is it possible?
Well, when they were 2 and 4 years old is when I moved them to the middle of a 60-mile dirt road. And my 2-year-old had just gotten kicked out of daycare. He was so mad. We had left their dad recently, and I had started a community newspaper that I was trying to empower the community of Northwest Tucson to control their future, because subdivisions were coming in. You know, they were changing all the zoning from 3 acres per house to 8 houses per acre. So I wanted to protect that character, and it was a lost battle, you know, a losing battle. So when my younger boy got kicked out of daycare, I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to fight developers? How am I going to empower the community? I got to get my kid to daycare. And then I remembered I was a mom. Oh yeah, you're a mom. So let's go find another dirt road. So 30 days later, we were in the middle of nowhere. I mean, in the middle of a 60-mile dirt road. It's unheard of. And I had 36 beautiful acres on a river, in a forest, in the desert, but no house. So we unloaded the U-Haul with the piano and the couch in the middle of nowhere. And, you know, it was the greatest way to be a single mom raising 2 sons. You know, we set up the camping tent, and, you know, the boys every day would help me figure out what to do next, how to provide shelter for ourselves. You know, we're from Earth. What do we do now? Oh, Mom, you could plug the coffee pot in at the well. Oh, okay. We called the phone company because I had to have internet. Sorry. Said, oh yeah, put the phone in that tree over there, please. And the whole thing was so comical and funny and stimulating, hard. But the 3 of us, from 2 years old and 4 years old, were in the wilderness and we created our infrastructure. We didn't have a lot of money either. You know, so we were having to be creative to provide shelter with no money. And it worked. I mean, it just was, I don't know. I think everybody should do it. I mean it. I'm serious. Connect with the earth, go jump into the woods and figure it out. Because these systems in our cities aren't very sustainable and they're harmful to the earth and all the beings who live here. But we don't know. Nobody tells us, oh, we could go do it differently. You know, we're taught to just, here, live here. And we'll bring your groceries to you to, you know. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. There are opportunities to do things differently. And I think it just takes motivation and courage to know that
courage.
To know that everything's okay. Like, you know, people were horrified that I would do this. Horrified. And I said, well, I just pray to the mountain lions and say, you know, I won't hurt your children. Please don't hurt my children. We're here together in the same neighborhood. Hi. We never had any problems with animals or insects. We were never sick. We were living outside for 2 years while I built our place. It was great fun. So I don't know who those kids are. They don't seem to think anything is different about them. But, you know, then I started a charter school for them in the middle of nowhere. And they rode their horse and mule to school. There were 4 boys in the school. It was so cute. But I didn't want them going to the town, you know. Rather, they ride their horse and mule for an hour than sit on the school bus for an hour. And that's funny too, understanding how seeds work. The charter school grew into 5 campuses. So again, I'm the crazy working mother going to school board meetings all over the state because my little charter school for 4 boys grew into 5 other schools in cities. And so I gave that up. I gave that back. Because, I mean, I was gone again. You know, my kids were, you know, without their mom again because she's working. So that's when I started my next company to pay for the schoolhouse, the teacher, the curriculum myself, because all that free money from the state was too much work. It took me away from my children. So that's how they do it. It's the kids, you know, were raised with the great Mother Earth. And that was actually my strategy when I left the city. You know, oh my God, I don't know how to be a mom. I never intended to be a mom. It was their dad's idea. I didn't have those inclinations. So as a single mom, I thought, you know, I need the help of the great Mother Earth. I need her help. So I'm bringing my kids to you.
That's an amazing story. I don't know. I can't believe it's possible. I can't imagine myself doing that.
I don't know.
Something
Maybe
incredible.
It was growing up in Africa and feeling so comfortable in the wilds. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I know my father was killed in a plane crash when we were living in Tanzania. And we moved back to Kenya. where my mother remarried a colonialist, a Kenyan colonialist who was Scottish. His family came to Kenya in the 1800s. And so he took us down to Zimbabwe, and we started a dairy farm from scratch. There was nothing there. And I watched this man whose lineage, right, was starting something from nothing. I watched him like, oh, wow, that's cool. Oh my gosh, you can do that and that and that. So I did have that seated, that image in my mind. Oh, you can go into the middle of nowhere and provide for yourself. It's totally different. It's totally off the money well. It takes a different way of thinking how to provide for ourselves. What does that mean to provide for myself and my family? For me, it didn't work going to a job to provide for my family.
That's amazing story. So not for me yet, probably didn't grow up in Africa, but yeah. But when you started your retreat, did your children were already old enough to let you do that?
Marginally. And it was difficult for me to decide that they were. Of course, they had to move from their house here at Diamond Mountain. My older son was already at the U of A. He was 21. So he was at the University of Arizona already. And my 19-year-old, he was, I don't know. He wasn't happy. No, he wasn't happy. But I had to do 3-year retreat. And I thought, he's 19. So that's a horrible decision I still find myself struggling with, actually. But I had to do it. It changed my life. I had to do it.
How did you? How was it? How to live in desert, in a handmade, from nothing building, and small, very small, and do 3-year retreat? How is it?
Well, again, because I'm always thinking of sustainability, I did the experiment for the smallest size. My culture likes to think big, 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 big. I like to think small, small, small. What's the least amount of infrastructure that I need to support this member of the human species? So I put my kitchen outside. I put my bathtub outside. And I just had the one room. And then I had a storage room and a library, another dome. I don't know. I've done a lot of sailing in boats. I come from a lineage of pilots. We fly airplanes. That's very small space. So it's like, being in a rocket ship or something. You've got all your controls right here. You've got your altar, your bed, everything is efficient. I love efficiency of space. And the ceilings were very tall. So I think mentally the height helped with the small floor space. And then the light coming through all the colored glass all through the day was like living in a cathedral. And this dancing light of different colors was energizing. I loved it. I loved it. I just loved it. I actually thrilled living that way because I thought, oh my God. Oh, I think I had the best bath system in the whole retreat. I had 2 70-gallon hot water heaters. Of course, they were broken ones, right? They did not work. Put them in a box with glass over the top. So I had 140 gallons of hot water heated by the sun. Then I had, I guess I'll call it an irrigation tank. A tank out in the courtyard, surrounded by flowers that I could get into outside and take a bath under the sky, under the stars. It was beautiful. Hot water outside under the stars. If it was cold, I had a wood piece I could put over me and I could sink down. It was so big, I could be like in a sauna. I had a sauna. So I would laugh a lot. I had so much fun. I had my garden right behind the breakfast bar. So I could pull up my stool to my breakfast table and eat right out of the ground. So living simply, creatively, out of the box, so to speak. I mean, it's just a great adventure for me. It's totally fun. You should have seen the place I built on the San Pedro River. I actually built 2 of them, very different from each other, but outrageous. And I think, you know, when Geshe Michael came out of his 3-year retreat, he came and visited the new people from the area, the neighbors. And I think when he saw my places, he said, yeah, come help me build Diamond Mountain. Yeah, I just don't restrict my designs, my architecture, my materials to what everybody else is doing. I'm trying to think of what's best for the earth and for the people in need of shelter.
Yep.
And how best to have fun. I have to confess too, by the way, that being a mom was the greatest cover, you know, because it was my job as mom to make sure everybody was having fun. So that's the underlying tone to everything I do.
Yeah, and it's still underlying tone. Wow. It's impressive. We talked a lot about your projects and ecological relationships and human relationships. I mean, how you treat Earth, Mother Earth, and etc. But could we move to your spiritual practice a little bit, please? Could you tell us, retreat, going out of the cities, work, and all this stuff, why normal people should be interested in it, and what it may bring to them, and what it brought to you?
With pleasure.
Thank you.
So when I first met my teacher, and this whole idea of Buddhism, I got it. You know, my seeds ripened again from that last life. It was like, wow. Everything is empty of nature. Nothing is fixed in the world as I think it is. And all I have to do is change the way I think just a little bit, because I already think pretty different. And I can change my whole world. it was astounding. So I was hooked from day one. And I did a 1 month retreat, like as soon as I moved to Diamond Mountain. I hadn't even been studying very long, but I got this idea that, oh my God, I go into retreat. Number one, no one is looking for me. I don't know, that idea appeals to me. No one's expecting anything from me. I am free to put my mind wherever I want without someone saying, oh, cat, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? You can tell I'm a very busy person. So the first benefit of retreat that appealed to me hugely was that I'm left alone with my own mind to go where it wants to go. And the second part I love about retreat is that our lineage, the material, the scriptures, the meditation objects, the instructions, the directions, how to become a happy person are exquisite. They're beautiful. I mean, to have the time without interruption to just focus on the beauty and power of our materials is off the chart. So that's what I love about it. I'm left alone with my scriptures and left alone with exploring and focusing on beautiful ideas that no one else is talking about that will empower me to change my world. That's fantastic. And people, of course, said, well, didn't you miss your teacher while you were in 3-year retreat? I said, quite the opposite. You know, our scriptures teach us that we put the teacher in our heart. Okay, I did what I'm told. I just say, okay, right? The secret word, okay. And they are available. They're there. You know, our meditation instruction says, put the teacher in front of you and feel them. Smell their fragrance, hear their breathing, see the texture of their shirt. And so there they are. So I was closer to my teacher during 3-year retreat than out, because that's all I was told to think about. Out here, you know, in 3 dimensions, it's very difficult to talk to my teacher, you know, as it is for all of us. You know, in 3 dimensions, it's a very limited form for many operations and functions. It's very limiting. I can't wait for my light body. But you know, for me to go talk to my teacher is nearly impossible. But in my heart, in my mind, in my meditation cushion, it's constant. Constant. So why wouldn't I love retreat? Why wouldn't anybody love retreat?
That's great. We have a question in the chat. Would you mind to answer?
Oh, I'm fine.
Okay, so people ask how your children are now, what they are doing.
Well, my firstborn, he must be the rebel of the family. You can imagine a rebel in my family. He has a very different lifestyle than how he was raised. And I'm very proud of him. He's doing well. He works for Mayo Clinic. He married a doctor from Mayo Clinic. And they have a beautiful home in Minnesota and 2 beautiful grandchildren. And he's in the culture. He's fully immersed in his culture, and bless his heart. My other son is more fringe, like his mom. And my other son is also brilliant. And he works in corporate America for a couple years, makes a lot of money, and then stops working and takes time to be with his own mind. He rides his bicycle through the beautiful desert. He goes to the mountains. He was the kid who would sit on the dirt and look at the ground, you know, for half an hour. I had no idea what he was looking at. So he's still doing that. And I applaud him for that, because I think the focus, when made on holy scriptures, holy objects, the earth, results in a calm, happy person. When we focus on our culture and the workaday world, you know, it's hard. And I take my hat off to families who live within society and raise their families in society. It's I don't know. It was a different choice for me. I found it was very hard. I couldn't do it. So anyway, they're both fabulous. They're both kind. I have to say they're the kindest men I know. You know, living at Diamond Mountain, they learned all the tricks. You know, my sons still do it, both of them. Where when you're out to dinner, you excuse yourself to go to the restroom and pay the dinner bill for everybody. And then you come back and don't say anything. So they're very kind men. And I think the upbringing in a kind environment was sweet, you know. Their mom wasn't stressed out about whether they were safe at the Circle K, or how can I get them picked up from daycare in time? Or, you know what I'm saying? We didn't have that kind of stress. And I think it resulted in kind men.
That's a great example for all of us, I believe. Wow, that's amazing stories. And Venerable Kading is full of amazing stories. And I don't know if will describe us all her stories. I don't think we can finish in a week. Probably even more.
Well, actually, I have to go help a neighbor and go pick her up. She just had eye surgery, and I have to take her to town. And I can't drive because I've only got one hand. So we laugh a lot about this situation, the two of us.
Wow, she doesn't have a good vision, and you doesn't have hands. Wow.
So thank you for inviting me to talk with you. Oh,
thank you very much. And I would like to remind you that Venerable Kading is teaching ACI 1. And I hope hiding somewhere, that maybe she would teach essay 2 after that. So maybe you can join, or anyway, you can join her essay 1 course
later.
How many classes are still left?
5.
Oh, 5 more. So you can join, or maybe you can invite your friends to join her classes. And they are translated into Russian and Spanish. Yeah, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So you will have it's in Russian, even. And for me, she's an amazing teacher. So you can see it by yourself. Thank you very much for your beautiful stories, and maybe we could invite you next time to hear more about your Dharma practices and about your realizations and about your maybe a retreat outcome or something.
I'd love to share that. I think in summary, just do what the teacher says to do, and you're golden. You're golden.
And you are the beautiful example of that practice.
Well,
Thank
and
you.
you are too. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much for coming, for agreeing to come. Thank you, everyone, for being with us today. And I enjoyed it. I just enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
And you.
Kading. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.